I'm your host, Sean MacKenzie. Thank you for joining me once again on my channel on data engineering. In this episode, we go back to our Python playlist and we're going to dig a little deeper into SQLite, and I want to show you a really cool function that allows you to take all the values in each row in a query and turn those into a concatenated list or a comma separated list on a row in your query, which makes it really handy for all kinds of things. Let's get to it. Looking for additional resources for your project? Make sure to check out the additional links in the description. Okay guys, a pretty fun one today. This is a neat feature that I've documented in other databases, and to be honest, I think SQLite did a better job of this particular function, and we're going to see that today. So I'm going to make a new file here, and I'm just going to import SQLite 3 as SQ, and I'm using Python 3.9 here. This will work for most installations, anything that's relatively new. I'm going to leave some feedback for the user here. I'm just going to say print starting. I'll set my connection, that's CNN, equal to none, and my file name, I'm just going to use a DB file that I use in my dev folder here, and that's going to give me my file when I or my database connection when I open it with SQLite 3. Now note the R in front of the string there. That's going to allow those backslashes so that we can use those because we're using Windows, and we can go ahead and set up our connection. So I'm going to start a try except finally set of blocks here, and I'm going to set my connection equal to sq.connect, and then I'll put my file name in there, and then I'll do a cs is equal to the connections cursor, and we're going to have a cursor from there, and then I'm going to finish the blocks before I do any more programming, just because this makes it nice and easy. There's our exception as E, and if we get some kind of error, which I probably will, I'll just print that off, and then no matter what happens, when we use the finally block, that's going to run no matter what. Like if there's an exception, there's not an exception, it gives us the finally block allows us to do things like close connections and dispose of resources if we need to and stuff like that. And what I'll do is I'll print connection closed at the end of my finally block, and then I'll print done. And there's our try, our exception as E, our finally block with our connection closed, and we're going to print off connection closed if we do close it, and then we'll print done at the end. So that kind of gives us a nice sort of escape from there. You can also use using, which I'll show in another episode, but this is sort of a basic way of approaching it, and I've just hit F5 there, and it started connected to the database that I have there, the file, and then it closed it. And that's what I want to see. So now I can go ahead and make some SQL, and we can get started, and I'm going to show you guys some cool stuff to do with the aggregates here. So I'm going to do select star from cars, just so you can see kind of what this data looks like. So I've got a little database table that I made in there called cars, and it has like a few entries in it, and I'm going to execute that SQL. And we're going to assign that to a rex variable, and then I'm just going to basically go through all of the recs in that rec. So record in records, and I'll print off each record just so that we can sort of see what's going on there. There's my SQL, select from cars, and then we're going to assign that into the rex variable. The cursor is going to return those values to us, and then we're going to loop through each of those and just sort of output the values. And here we go. So here are the 8 selections, and I've got a Honda in here, and there's a value in there and a price in there, and then there's some colors, and there's 4-door 5-seater, 2-door 5-seater, and we can use some of these to demonstrate the group concatenation. So we've got several kinds of cars in our fictional parking lot here, and what we want to do is we want to first of all do some aggregates, and then what we want to do is we want to just show the model of the car with the available colors for that car, so that we can take all the colors and put those on a single line, as opposed to having a line for every car and color. So the first thing we can do is we can do a simple aggregate just like we would normally do with group by, and we'll do select model, we'll sum the value as total value from cars, and then we'll group by model, and that'll give us the total value of all of our cars according to each type. So we have 76,000 in Accords, 44,000 in Camrys, and 31,000 worth of Corollas. And that's all fine and dandy. That's how your normal group by works. And this is actually where SQLite, in my opinion, they did a great job, because they made the aggregate, string aggregate, part of the group by, and I think that's a really handy way of doing things. So we're going to use group concat in our query, and group concat's going to give us that list of cars and the available colors. And so now I'm going to expand my selection string here a little bit, and in order to do that I've added brackets to my string so that we can build our string on multiple lines for readability. And so now what we can do is we can put in our model, our sum value is total value on another line, and then we're going to put our group underscore concat, which is for concatenation, and we're going to put that and we're going to add the color in there, because that's what we want to see is the color of every model that's available. And so we'll put an alias on it. We'll say as available colors, and then from cars, and then we'll group by model just like we did before, and we'll hit F5, and now you can see there's the total amount again, but now we've got blue, red, white, blue for the Accords, and we've got a black and gray Camry and 2 white Corollas, and that's very, very handy for report writing. If you're doing report writing and you want to take your values, whatever it is that's in your table, and you need to put it into a comma separated list, you can do that by using group concat, and you just put the field name in there and give it an alias in your query as part of your aggregate query, and that's going to be really awesome for you to work with. Now I know most of you are probably asking yourself, well, what if I just want to see the model of the car and the distinct colors? I don't want to know that, I don't want 3 blues in there or 2 blues like I have in my output there. I just want to know that there's a blue, red, and white car available. And we can do that by, we can do the same kind of group by that we did in our earlier query. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to select, in this case, distinct model in an inline query. So we'll do a select from select here. And you can see now I'm going to select from a distinct list of model and colors, and that's going to allow us to have a better list to select from that'll only have one color for each row. And so now I can go ahead and hit F5, and that's going to give me another run here, and there we go, and it'll have just like we expected. We've got Accords, which are blue, red, and white, and we have Camrys, which are black and gray, and we've got Corollas, which are available in white. We have two of them, but we've now given ourselves a distinct list with a delimited field in there that has multiple values in it, and that's really easy for report writing. Now, some of you are also probably asking, can I change the delimiter? And you certainly can by adding another argument, like I did there, where I added the that squiggly line, and I don't know what that's called actually, and basically now we've got our values, and they're delimited by the tilde. It's one or something, I don't know what that is. Somebody can tell me what that is in the comments. And if I want to change it to a semicolon, then I can use a semicolon, and so that makes it really nice for your report writing, or if you're doing ETL or anything like that, you can choose what you'd like to use, and that's how you can use group concat in Python. Want to help support my work and join my community? Make sure to check out my Patreon. The link is in the description.